Today's video is chapter 10, lesson 5. We're going to talk about the distance formula. All right, I've got a little coordinate plane here. If I were to draw a line from this dot to this dot and connect them, how long is that line? How many boxes long is it? Well, it's 5 boxes long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Numbers that are on the gray lines are easy to count if we go sideways, even if we were to go up and down. If I were to draw a line to here, that's a length of 3 boxes tall. However, the homework today wants to know distances that go diagonal. Well, doesn't this look like a right triangle? Whose leg is 5? Whose other leg is 3? And didn't we, to find the distance, square, square, add, and square root? So the square root of 25 plus 9, 25 plus 9 is 34. This will become a decimal that we're going to have to round. So grab your calculators if you don't have them, and let's figure out the square root of 34. So on my calculator, I punch 34 and then the square root button. No, I don't. Mine is backwards. I've got to punch the square root button, then the 34, and the distance is equal to 5.8. That 3 isn't big enough. It's not halfway, so it doesn't round it. So we have just determined that this green line is a hypotenuse. We do the square, square, add square root of the Pythagorean theorem, and the hypotenuse is 5.8. But what if they don't give us the picture? What if they tell us that one dot is at 410, another dot is at 27? It's going diagonal, but they're not going to give us the picture. Well, the distance formula says subtract your x's and then square them. Subtract your y's and square it. Add those two answers, and when you're done, final step is to square root. Now, remember that the first number is x, this first number is x. Second number is y, second number is y. I have two options when I do this. I can say 4 minus 2 squared, or I can reverse it and I could say 2 minus 4. As long as I'm sticking with x's, I can start with this parentheses or I can start with this parentheses. Now, if I start with this parentheses, the 2, when I do my y's, my next set of parentheses, since I started with 2 and I started with this second dot, I have to start with 7 because he's in the second dot. 7 minus 10. If this had been 4 minus 2, it would be 10 minus 7. And I forgot my tiny 2. All right, next line of work is going to say the square root of negative 2 squared plus negative 3 squared. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. 7 minus 10 is negative 3. Okay, next thing in order of operations, I'm going to deal with my exponents. So I have 2 negative 2's. That's like having negative 2 times another negative 2. Well, that equals a positive 4. A negative 3 times a negative 3. That's like having a positive 9. So when you have these parentheses, keep the parentheses. You have 2 of everything inside. So if you have negatives, they'll turn into positives. All right, next line of work is going to say d equals the square root of 13. Punch some buttons and get your final answer. I got 3.6. Notice that this took us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines of notebook paper. These first 4 all had square root signs. Oh, the first 5 all had square root signs. So you draw that square root every single time. D stands for distance, so that's why we have a D equals. Distance is equal to square, square, add, square root. We're really just doing the Pythagorean theorem. All right, let's do another one. We've got the distance is equal to one really big long square root sign. I'm going to have some parentheses squared plus some parentheses squared. I want to subtract my x's. It doesn't matter which dot you start with. I can start with my first dot or my second dot, as long as you start with 15 and 20. Put 15 and 20 in that parentheses. So I think I'll do 15 minus 20, even though it's negative, it's okay. Then I do my y's over here. Since I started with 15, I'm going to start with 8. 8 minus 2. Next line is going to say the square root of these answers. 15 minus 20 is negative 5. 8 minus 2 is 6. Next line is going to say the negative 5 squared answer and the 6 squared answer. So I have positive 25 plus 36. You finish it out and tell me your final answer. Type in your final answer. Well, the next line of work would say the square root of 61, final answer is 7.8.